But do you think that on the trial and error, if you had the time again, you would obviously put in a fit and proper person test, which we think would stop one or two providers starting. Would you also reduce the number of entrants? Because do you not think that that's added confusion?
It's a really difficult one, and I think that's. I think there's competing arguments both ways. I think there's the argument to say you want fair and healthy competition in that, and you certainly don't want to be in a position where you've got a monopoly, because that holds you to ransom to one provider. My gut view is always to keep it as open as possible, and we did a similar sort of thing when we took over the codes. We had a debate as to should it be one code for one sector, and what our view was, it should be one standard for one sector. So wherever you go, you're getting that minimum standard of service. And what you then enable people to do is compete on things that are worth competing on. So, we've got a scheme that particularly looks after, older, vulnerable people, because we understand that we've got people who perhaps understand this sector slightly more. So my gut feeling is to keep it open.
Really? I think that because people don't, I mean, we know people don't get what ADR is, and so there is already confusion around all that. If they then go to this local trading standards has an ADR scheme, but that one doesn't. That one covers motor and home improvement, but that one doesn't. That one does retail. Where does a consumer go? Because there isn't a model, there isn't a process for them to clearly go. So they're confused anyway. So don't all these models just confuse the consumer more?
Yeah. And it's the same when you look at approved trader schemes. It's the same when we've already spoken about how consumers get advice. So I think I think we need to separate out the providers from how consumers access information and knowledge. And I think we need to stop competing in this space. Everyone wants to put their little bit of advice up. Everyone wants to draw. Let's go. Citizens Advice is the place where we drive all consumers. No, that's a really simple decision. Let's make that. So what you go is you have one portal delivered by the Citizens Advice, and you go, I've got a dispute, and the Citizens Advice portal goes, you can use these 4 people.
Well, now that was one of our suggestions in our Ombudsman Omnichannel reports, was it not?
Yeah.
So what has happened with Marcus and my suggestion from years ago? What has happened with that?
This is really terrible, because I'm finding myself agreeing with you, which is
But we were there first with that. We were the first suggesting the portal. So where is it?
Well, again, it's government policy and government funding. It needs to be funded. But I come back to, there is nothing stopping that happening now, other than people who sit around the table looking at the best interest of their organisation rather than what's in the best interest of consumers. And this is.
So would you say that was that parliamentarians, or is it Bays, or is it who is it? Who is it that's stopping?
We've all got to wear some of that hat, actually. So yes, it'd be brilliant. It'd be brilliant to have government policy turn around and say we will have a single consumer portal. Bang! That'd be really great, and it'd be really brilliant for Base to go. We're going to fund that, and we can all sit back and go, it's all their fault. That's fine. But when we're sitting, and I come back to the approved trader scheme, when we're sitting here and we're promoting our approved trader scheme in competition with someone else's approved trader scheme, so there's nothing to stop. There's nothing right here, right now, to stop all the people who put themselves at the good end, the local trading standard services, your WIC, your Citizens Advice, the Chartered Institute, sitting there and going, actually, what we're going to do is we're going to support and point everyone to one page.
But that's funding, doesn't it? So who's going to fund that?
Well, you say it needs funding. We're all doing it at the moment, aren't we? So it can't cost any more to have a single portal than it does to have half a dozen.
Well, no, but to have the one person to put it all together so that you've got able to email, phone, write, making sure there's all the different.
Well, look, Citizens Advice has funding to do this job, and by and large, they do a fantastic job in supporting consumers and citizens in the UK. All we need to do is just point everyone in that direction. And then that helps provide clarity. So don't come to our website. Go to Citizens Advice. It can be as simple as that. But again, what we're all trying to do is all trying to capture that little piece of the marketplace, aren't we? We're all trying to capture the consumer to come to our website, to look at our website to get the advice. Don't care who writes the advice. Let's point consumers in one direction. It's a bit like, a bit like we've tried to encourage everyone in trading standards to point businesses to Business Companion, because we're producing the guidance once. Just go there. So yeah, I think we need to be realistic. Parliamentary time is going to be very limited. We've got to unpick all the European legislation. That's going to take years. That's going to take years. And by the time you get parliamentary time, we'll have a different set of problems. So we always look to regulation as a solution. Regulation is blunt, and regulation is slow. Why don't we as a community turn around and say we want the consumers to go to one place, and that's citizens' advice? Okay, let's all point all the good guys, point everyone to citizens' advice, and if everyone's website where you Google would go to citizens' advice, you then get all the search. I'm not an expert, but you get search engine optimization. It goes up, and then our sole job is then to make sure the citizens' advice website and advice matches what we think is best practice.